Hello and Assalamu alaikum. I'm Marwa. Welcome to Naramis.
अमेरिका बना रहा है इंडिया को एज अ मिलिट्री बुलवाक अगेंस्ट चाइना, तो वो सोचेंगे कि क्या इनको बनाना चाहिए। मिलिट्री टर्म्स में आपका लॉस हुआ, प्रेस्टीज का लॉस हुआ, टेलीविजन चैनल, इंफॉर्मेशन वॉर, उन्होंने तो अपना एक सर्कस करी थी जो दुनिया ने देखी और दुनिया हंस रही है उसके ऊपर।
I've always maintained between the Pakistani and the Chinese, I'd prefer to fight the Chinese than the Pakistani. Because the Pakistani is good at fighting. Even now, if you see, he's been good at fighting.
8 और 9 मई को हिंदुस्तानी टेलीविजन मीडिया ने सहाफत को शर्मसार करने, सहाफियों की नाक काटने की मिसाल कायम की, जिसे दुनिया भर की यूनिवर्सिटीज में जर्नलिज्म के तुलबा को पढ़ाया जाना चाहिए। ये न तो हुब्बुल वतनी का जज्बा था, न इंसानी गलती, न एरर ऑफ जजमेंट। ये जंग और खूंरेजी को क्रिकेट मैच की कमेंट्री में बदलकर पैसा कमाने की होड़ थी और हुक्मरान के नजदीक आने की तौर।
What happens when a regional power, armed with Western military tech and ambitions to dominate, decides to gamble with war? India's recent military misadventure against Pakistan has not only backfired, it has reshaped the regional security narrative, perhaps irreversibly. And as far as Pakistan is concerned, it didn't just respond, it redefined deterrence. India's desire to play the role of a net security provider for the US and the West in Asia-Pacific has pushed New Delhi into aggressive posturing across South Asia. But each attempt to assert this dominance, from Pulwama to Galwan and now Pahalgam, has ended in humiliation, military losses, and deepening regional instability. It all began with India's growing ambition to project military strength to show its strength to the US as a counterweight to China. Since the Indo-US Strategic Pact, India's behavior has shifted towards aggressive military posturing. This trajectory began in 2019 with the Pulwama incident. Under the pretext of a terrorist attack, India launched airstrikes into Pakistan. In response, the Pakistan Air Force retaliated with 6 precision strikes, shot down 2 Indian jets, and captured a pilot, only to return him as a gesture of de-escalation. But India did not learn. Humiliated but undeterred, India clashed with China in Galwan Valley in 2020, losing at least 20 soldiers.
20 Indian soldiers have been killed fighting with Chinese troops on a disputed border region.
It was once again a reckless move, meant to impress the US, but only exposed India's military vulnerabilities. New Delhi's attempt to showcase itself as a regional policeman backfired again.
That's a big loss. Okay.
Then came the Pahalgam false flag operation. India hoped to replay the same script. India used a staged attack to justify cross-border aggression and win praise from Western policy circles. But what came next would change everything. On May 7, while unilaterally abrogating the Indus Water Treaty, India launched Operation Sindoor. It involved 24 airstrikes across 6 civilian sites in Pakistan, killing 40 and injuring more than 100, including women and children. Pakistan responded surgically and overwhelmingly. 6 Indian aircraft were shot down, including 3 Rafales, 1 MiG-29, and a Su-series fighter. But India didn't stop there. A wave of Israeli Harop drones were launched, only to be neutralized by Pakistan's air defenses. Meanwhile, India unleashed another offensive, not on the battlefield, but through a blitz of misinformation and fake news in media.
इस्लामाबाद के बड़े इम्पोर्टेंट स्ट्रैटेजिक लोकेशन पर अटैक किया। यहाँ पर इंडियन नेवी है। कराची का नेवल बेस, उसको मेजर डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ है। शहबाज शरीफ पर सबसे बड़ी खबर और खबर ये कि शहबाज शरीफ अब बंकर की शरण में जा चुके हैं। वो दरअसल सरेंडर होने की इंफॉर्मेशन है, इसलिए हम कह रहे हैं। क्यों कह रहे हैं? क्योंकि मुल्ला मुनीर को हिरासत में लेने की बात है।
The Indian local media, under the influence of RSS, spun conspiracy and flamed aggression. And while Indian media stoked hysteria, pushing the narrative of war, Pakistani media outlets maintained composure and called for de-escalation. But New Delhi's recklessness didn't end there. India conducted drone and missile strikes beyond Pakistan's borders in Afghanistan, risking a wider regional conflict. And in a deeply disturbing turn, India even launched its missiles on Sikh communities within Indian Punjab. These Hindutva-driven attacks were meant to fracture Sikh-Pakistan ties, but the Sikh community rejected the propaganda against Pakistan. Amid all this, Pakistan stood resolute. Public morale surged. The nation stood united. Streets were filled with voices, not of fear, but defiance. The military, the government, the people, all stood together. What India tried to break, it only strengthened. Then came Pakistan's defining moment, Operation Bunyan-um-Marsoos. On May 10, following another wave of Indian missile attacks, Pakistan launched Operation Bunyan-um-Marsoos. Fatah F-1 and F-2 long-range missiles, armed drones, and guided munitions struck 26 military targets across Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Indian mainland. Air bases like Suratgarh, Sirsa, Bhuj, Nalia, and Pathankot suffered massive damage. BrahMos missile storage facilities were destroyed in Beas and Nagrota. India's advanced S-400 systems in Adampur and Bhuj were neutralized. In the skies, Pakistani drones flew unchallenged over major Indian cities, including New Delhi, whereas cyber operations by Pakistan military paralyzed India's critical military, economic, and political infrastructure. Facing heavy losses and international embarrassment, India turned to the US, the very power it had tried to impress, and begged for a ceasefire. Pakistan showed maturity and chose not to escalate further, because real strength is restraint. In a nutshell, Pulwama was a test run, Galwan was a gamble, Pahalgam was desperation. So why did India provoke this recent crisis? First, to divert attention from its own internal failures related to growing unrest over its treatment of Muslims, Sikhs, and other minorities. Second, to pull the West's attention back to South Asia by painting Pakistan as the aggressor. Third, India overestimated its technological edge, fueled by 2 decades of arms deals with the West. But the loss of Rafales and the failure of the S-400 systems exposed critical weaknesses. This defeat has already sparked re-evaluation in Western capitals. Can India really serve as a reliable net security provider when it can't protect its own skies? Throughout the crisis, India found itself diplomatically isolated. Its attempt to portray regional dominance crumbled. Worse, domestic society fractured further, especially after attacks in Sikh-majority areas. Modi's government now faces growing opposition scrutiny. Meanwhile, Operation Bunyan-um-Marsoos restored deterrence, shattered India's illusions of technological superiority, and united the Pakistani nation.
Pakistan Zindabad! Pakistan Zindabad! Pakistan Zindabad!
As the dust settles, one truth stands tall. There is no space for war between nuclear neighbors. Anyone who believes otherwise is paving the way to mutual annihilation. And let's not forget who enabled the aggression. Years of unchecked US and Western military support turned India into a regional bully. The region is now paying the price. Pakistan stood firm, acted with precision, and emerged stronger, technologically, diplomatically, and morally. For more insights, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay safe and stay kind. Allah Hafiz. Pakistan Zindabad.